Hey guys, and welcome back. We are back. We will endeavour to say we are back a little less than we've been saying recently. Unfortunately, it's hard running a podcast sometimes. Unless you've done it yourself, it's a little difficult to fit it in within everything else that we're doing. Obviously, George producing YouTube content, me doing the site, and oh yeah, you had a break, didn't you? Taking a break, clickbait title. So yeah, it's a little bit difficult sometimes to sort of nail down times. And also, like we were talking about this earlier, the content and the topics that we talk about in the podcast, like when we're obviously both in off season, is almost a little bit monotonous. It's like there's not a lot to talk about. There's not huge changes that are going on. There's not a lot of dietary change. There's not a lot of physique change. Obviously, we can have a joke and a laugh, but there's only so many like wanking into a sock jokes we can make before this podcast becomes like a complete fucking joke. So yeah, we're basically bringing it back now because I start prep this Saturday, so we'll be able to do like a weekly update on obviously how I'm getting on. George can ask his own questions, which so we kind of similarly did when George was in prep. I asked him a few questions. We got a lot of listener questions about his prep, so very much looking forward to sharing that with you guys and giving you a little bit of more of an in-depth insight into the goings on of my fourth ever prep, and I'm very excited to do it. So yeah, Georgia boy, let's get into a little bit of an update on where things are at for you. I think the last one we did was with Piad 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now.
Wow.
So
long. It feels longer than that. I don't know why.
Yeah. It was a popular episode though. People like listening to big Piads. People tuned in. People listened. Yeah. People expected a fight. People expected pow, 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 pow. But there was no fighting involved. Apparently, all the fighting's going to go down on stage. But yeah, what's things with you at the moment, mate?
So all good. Life is very, very good. Got the balance now. Taking on more clients now. I'm a lot more. I have more availability than I did on contest prep, so that's good. Busier than ever, which is nice. Having a balance between spending time with a girlfriend, going to the gym, personal life, just all that type of stuff is in a very good place. I think one of the biggest issues I had when we last spoke is just pissing around with my body weight being, mid 160s for too long. Like it must have been about, I went up and then come back down, went up, come back down. And I could tell in my gym sessions that it was just constantly going around in a vicious circle. Nothing really was progressing. So over the past 4 weeks, I think I've gained probably about a good 4 or 5 pounds in quite quick rate. And I think now I'm getting to the point of where this is probably, and I mentioned to you earlier, this is where I'd probably perform my best. I think we all get to a body weight where we feel relatively good, relatively healthy, feeling strong. And I think that's where you can kind of maximize quite a lot of what you do inside the gym. So I'm roughly about 170 pounds now, 171 give or take, depending on what I eat and things like that, but relatively good. Appetite's getting a little bit, it's still good, but it's a little bit meh. Like I was looking at my oats the other night and I was just like, fucking hell, these need to come out. And then put granola in the other night. I was like, that was polished off in seconds. Easy. Like 200 calories for 45 grams. Something fucking ridiculous like that.
Crazy.
Whereas I'm sitting there oats, I'm just stirring it. I'm just, you look at it and it's just like, nah, this isn't the same anymore.
Yeah.
A little bit like that at the moment, but generally getting on what needs to be done, get my head down, making some very good progress in the gym. Strongest I've ever been in 99 or 95% of the movements. Some movements a little bit meh at the moment, like the deadlift. I've had to take that out and implement the RDL, which I'm doing tomorrow. But no, other than that, good. Life is good, feeling good. And I just can't wait to keep going, keep building upon this. And then eventually towards the end of the year, go down a different path and, expect some big things from there. So yeah, that's what I'm all good. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Thank you. So I'll ask you a few questions on what you said there in a minute, but yeah, in terms of the last sort of 2-3 weeks for me, it's been all right. It's been a bit mixed in the sense that I don't think since we recorded that podcast, I don't think I've woken up on a day and felt 100%. I felt like moderately, nothing interruptive and nowhere near as bad as I was after we recorded that podcast for you knew how sick I was. Like I sounded like I was going to fucking die. So I was nowhere near as bad as that, but I got like really bad like flu symptoms that I literally couldn't have trained. I was just sat here all day and it was just wank really. So that was that. And I know a lot of people are ill at the moment, whether it's corona or not, but I know a lot of people are sick, probably relate to that. Very, very boring sitting at home doing nothing, feeling sorry for yourself, but it happens. We all get sick. Just got to get over it, move on, try not to train if you are ridiculously sick, because you're just going to pass it to other people. And it, quite frankly, it's annoying. And the thing is, I think the reason why I've caught more crap this year than I ever have before is because I train in a gym where people don't stop going if they're sick. Like they just go. So like previously in underground down in Brighton, if people were sick, stay at home, you know, have a rest day. Bit of a cold, have a rest day. So because the gym for them is like, not saying that everyone there is like that, but most people are. The gym for them is like, oh, okay, I have to go rather than I want to. And at Ultraflex, it's a combination of I have to and I want to, because they have to because they want to compete. A lot of them want to compete. A lot of them want to look better, and they want to because they love it. So people don't stop going when they're sick, and there's a lot of people in there. It's quite a hot, you know, it's like a quite hot environment. So I think things just lay there, and people get pretty sick pretty frequently. So yeah, I've not felt 100% since then, really. So I mean, it's only like I said, it's mild symptoms, but it's just annoying. It's just irritating not to feel 100%. And I think partially it's because I'm also like at the top end of my off season, so I was already feeling like just the tiredness and the lethargicness of just being heavy. Mm-hmm. So the combination of all these factors sort of like, I guess, sort of added up. And yeah, I mean, it's just like a minor annoyance, really. It's not too interruptive, and I've still been able to train well, and most sessions have been progressive. There's been some where I've turned up and felt like I'm really, really tired and really sort of like groggy and just not in it. But this is where I think, because I don't usually need external motivation. Like for me, I can be very motivated to train on my own. I've done all my preps pretty much training on my own, and I always push myself, and I've been fine doing that. I can get in my own head, and my goals are strong enough for me to be motivated without having someone shout at me. Because it's actually a good topic, because a lot of people will like message me, even my clients, not you, George, don't worry. But a lot of my clients will message me saying, oh, I need my own Cuba. And I'm like, well, yeah, Cuba's fucking awesome. And yeah, okay, cool. It is nice to have someone saying, go fucking again, like when you're thinking about going for the rep. It's nice having that sometimes, but you don't need it. You need and I think to be able to train hard with someone there, you need to first be able to train hard on your own, because a lot of the time when I'm with clients and it's their first time being pushed, I know whether they push hard on their own or not, because I'll tell them to go for one more and they're already going for it, or they go for another one after I've told them to go for one more. Yeah. So I know they've already like tapped into that level of intensity or pushing themselves. And so yeah, I mean, on the days when I am feeling tired and a little bit sorry for myself, it is good to have Jimmy and the boys there, because I've shared my I shared my thoughts with them. Like we always sort of sit down a little bit before the session, especially me and fucking Jimmy, because Cuba's the most awful person in terms of being on time. He will say 3 o'clock and it's never 3 o'clock. It's like 3:30, 4 o'clock. Like bless Jimmy, like he's been waiting there like 45 minutes some days for a fucking session. So yeah, so apparently it's not Cuba's fault, but it probably is. So yeah, look, I chat with Jimmy, I chat with Cuba about like, you know, feeling tired, feeling fatigued, and of course like they're much heavier bodybuilders than me and they carry much more muscle mass, but we're still all at like a similar place in terms of being at the heaviest we've been in a long time. So it's similar situations. And yeah, it's nice to just sort of have a conversation and have them say, oh, okay, you know, it's pretty normal to feel like this. Don't worry, you know, just keep ticking your boxes, keep getting your meals in, go for walks after meals, things like that. And yeah, it's helped a lot. I think another thing that I've learned over this off season is that I could maybe be a bit more meticulous with the small things that I could do for recovery. But like Jimmy, for example, he's like the type of person which will just like eat and then go for a nap, and then eat and then go for a nap, and then eat and go for a nap, and then train, and then come back and then nap, and then like his day is like built around being the biggest he can possibly be.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I was like, I don't think I could ever do that. I could do it a bit more. Like I could take one nap, but I think you're the same as me, mate. Like I couldn't just do that. Like that couldn't be just my day. Because like I need to be doing something like that drives me and that moves me forwards. That's not just bodybuilding. Like business is a huge part of obviously what I do. So yeah, I'm sure you agree with that.
Very similar to me. I've never napped throughout the day unless I've really, really had to, which is probably once in my life. I'm always thinking, no, there's one thing I could do, you know, there's another thing I could be doing. There's always something I could be editing a video, you know, doing check-ins or, you know, think about or there's something I could always do. And I just can't seem to do that because I know it will hinder my sleep at night. So I definitely can't do that. And in terms of the training partner situation, and then pushing the intensity, I think that is good and sometimes is obviously bad. Like I've, you know, trained with Nath and he's told me go one more, and I'm done one more. He goes, do another one. I'm thinking, I want to fucking injure myself here. So it's great having, you know, Kuba shouting in your ear, going, go again. But sometimes you've got to be in your own boundaries and say, look, you know, I'm going to be smart here. I'm going to train hard, but train smart at the same time, because the amount of times I've done something and I regret it the next day just because. And I'm that type of person, unfortunately. If Nathan tells you go for one more, I'm going to go for fucking one more. I'm not going to tell myself to stop. It's just trying to do that is the hardest bit for me.
Yeah. I think you're likely with a training partner to like accumulate so much more fatigue. Not just because of the reps that you're doing, like that are maybe beyond failure or forced reps or a rep that you wouldn't have done on your own, but it's also like the neurological fatigue that you accumulate from just shouting at each other. Like I don't realize the difference until I train on my own. Like yesterday I trained with Danny and I pulled obviously like pretty much matched PBs on deadlifts, but because we weren't like shouting at each other or like emitting rage, I came home from the session, I was like, I actually don't feel too smashed. And it showed in my readiness as well, my aura. Which I might talk about. I'll talk about that maybe in a bit. And when I come home from like a leg day with like Cuba and Jimmy, we're like shouting at each other, and I can imagine like Cuba's the worst because he is like the craziest training partner. He's relentless. He won't stop like motivating or saying like, let's go motherfucker. Like even on fucking, like we're finishing with calves and he's like adding a force rep for me on calves. He's like, one fucking more. And I'm like, mate, we're on fucking calf press. But you know, like fair play to him. He just loves working hard. Yeah, he definitely instills that within me. He doesn't slack. He's also quite like, it's quite, well, something I've learned about training with them is they are a little bit more auto-regulatory than me. So like if they feel like one set was enough, they will leave at one set. Whereas I'm always like the type of guy that will just follow the program, never like whatever I feel like. So if I do a really good set on squats and I think maybe I could have just done one set, I don't just, if there's two sets on the leg day, I'm doing the two sets, which I think is good and bad. Like obviously the good thing is that your volume will always stay static, or very similar. But the bad thing is that like on the days where you really should have done less and you should have listened to your body, you pay for it. And then the next day, you know, you might see a regression or you're deloading earlier than you think, etc., etc.
You think that's something you'll implement or try experiment?
I think I'm going to have to be careful with it in prep because I said to them, I was like, we can't, I even said to them at the end of one session, I was like, we can't forget volume. Like, not even you guys you can't forget volume. So like, if you do a good set, that doesn't mean that we just do one. Because let's say, so for example, let's say we don't do the back off on a squat. or a hack squat. So let's say we then lose, maybe like for me at the moment, 7 plates per side for like 15 would be a back off in the hack. That is a phenomenal amount of leg volume and poundage to lose. It's so much. Like if you work that out in kilograms, that's crazy. It's just such a colossal amount of volume just to take away.
Yeah.
You know, so yes, it might be helpful at phases in prep where really we should be bringing down our volume, because it seems to be that a lot of people, including me, including you, have done the wrong thing in prep, and instead of reducing volume when recovery capacity drops towards the end and we're losing muscle fullness, both me and you have done things where we raise volume and we think, I've got to protect muscle. More volume will do the trick. No, it fucking doesn't. You just get weaker, smaller, flatter, and you look shit.
Yeah.
And that is like one of my number one tips. If you listen to this and you're prepping this year, you're doing one of your first preps, or you're doing your prep yourself, do not add volume during your prep. Just not, like, you're not, as a natural, you're realistically not growing really at really any stage. You may grow a little bit at the start when your aerobic capacity is increased and you've still got plenty of body fat to perhaps use as stored energy, but the reality is you're not going to be building any significant amount of muscle tissue. So especially like 3, 4, 5 weeks out, adding another set is the worst thing you could possibly be doing. You've got to think, like, I think a lot of natural bodybuilders have this annoying thing where they think it's okay to be small. It's not okay to be small. And a lot of natural bodybuilders look small on Instagram, and then other people will look at them and see, it's all natural bodybuilders are small. No, they fucking aren't. Look at Rich Godzeki. He's not small. Look at Dave K. He's not small. Like, these guys aren't small. And actually, Rich, as much as he is a very high volume trainer, he is aware of the fact that his total work does have to come down a bit towards the end. Because we were talking about that. I was like, does your programming change at all? Do you just smash it the whole way through? And he was like, no, 2-3 weeks out, I do tend to do a little less. I found that works well. You know, that's that. He's not looked at a textbook to find that out. He's done years and years of competing to, like, anecdotally find that makes sense. It does make sense. You know, your recovery capacity is going down. Your volume has to follow suit. So yeah, to answer your question, maybe a little bit, but not a huge amount. Had a little bit of a question for yourself. So with your deadlifts, like, a lot of people will find that, you know, they get a movement and it just, like, sometimes it will be going really, really well. Sometimes it won't be going well. Like, I know how frustrated you got with the deadlift itself. Like, how did you deal with those, like, first few sets of the session where the first movement is just wank? Because a lot of people will maybe throw away the logbook, just leave the session, go home, or some people will just get really annoyed and then try and push too hard and injure themselves. Like, how did you deal with the sessions where you were actually regressing the deadlift?
So especially with the deadlift, I always say, if the deadlift is shit, the whole session's ruined. I've said that. I always say that. If deadlift goes well, it's 10 out of 10 session. Despite the rest of it going terrible, it'll still be a 10 out of 10 session in my opinion. If that doesn't go well, if I regress, don't mind maintaining. If I regress, awful session. And what I've been doing, especially the last couple of weeks where it's just been stalling, is I've just kind of taken myself outside, believe it or not. I've taken a bit of fresh air, kind of gathered all my thoughts, because when I do go into that next movement, which is the pendulum, you know, my head's got to be on for that as well. And if I'm still thinking about that deadlift going into the pendulum, I never perform correctly. So I actually got outside and just take like 2-3 minutes, even maybe 5 minutes, and just kind of regather everything, and then just go into it, kind of forget what I just did and pretend like this is the rest of the session. And that seems to be working right now, in all honesty. So I still think about it in the back of my mind, really. I'll get home, I think, fuck those fucking deadlifts. But sometimes, like we said, we need to be honest with ourselves. And despite me absolutely loving the deadlift, and it makes me really nervous and anxious, and my anxiety levels are just through the roof when I do it, I love that feeling. I think sometimes we have to take a step backwards, like you are yourself with the deadlift, and implement something else for a period of time, because the deadlift's always going to be there. It's just you keep burying it into the ground, and if you'll keep regressing, like, and the overall goal is to, be the biggest and best version of yourself, do you really just want to keep regressing on a movement, keep it going backwards? Is it really worth it? And then in that situation, you're thinking, yes, I want to do a deadlift, but when you take a step outside of that and actually realise, you think, actually, nice, it's deadlift. You can do another variation, and build that up and come back to it. Because, like I said, the deadlift's always going to be there. Is that similar to you at all? What are you like when deadlift or a movement regresses? What are you
Yeah.
like?
I think I'm the same in terms of like the overall rating of the session. I definitely just I take a lot of my quality of the session from how well the big movement has gone, because ultimately I know that like sort of bang for your buck is the greatest with that movement. So I know that if that moves forwards, then that's doing me a load of good comparative to like a bicep curl or a leg extension moving forwards. Like, I just know that there's so much more weight in that movement than there is in anything else. So much more quality. So I do get frustrated, 100%. I even got frustrated yesterday when I matched my top set and then progressed my back off. I was still not happy with that. And I think that the reality is, like, we got to realize that progression is not simply linear, and there is a lot of ways you can make linear progression happen by just sandbagging. But if you were sandbagging, and like, so what I mean by sandbagging, if no one knows what sandbagging means, it just means like basically doing less than you can maximally do. So like, I've seen it time and time again. People will make a last rep look really, really hard. So they'll do like a set of 5, and the 5th one on a squat or a deadlift, the bar speed will go from like really, really quick to quite slow. And trust me, I know what it's like, because I did a year of sandbagging all of my lifts in 2015. I sandbagged pretty much everything. I was adding 2.5 kilos to my squat every single week, pretty much without fail. And I went from like a 150, 160 squat for like 4 or 5 reps and took it to 197.5 for 4 or 5 reps. So it definitely works. And there is benefits to sandbagging in terms of powerlifting and all-time strength. The reason being is that there's a lot of reason to suggest that accruing volume is beneficial. The specificity of that lift is going to be increased because you're doing it more often. And also you're limiting the degree of damage to joints, tendons, and ligaments by slowly overloading with more load or more reps. So you're not taking as many jumps as you might if you were really pushing the limits. That's not to say that all powerlifters train like that, because they don't. A lot of them train with, sub max. Some of them train max effort. Like, it just depends as to what sort of cycle they're on. Yeah. But yes, it's just like, for me, I think I always obviously want to push things to the max now that I've got into that sort of training mentality. There'll be sets that are easier. There'll be sets that are really, really hard. But I know when I've pulled a deadlift, I knew on the 6th rep of that 220, there wasn't going to be another one that would happen unless I really wanted to fuck some shit up. And for me, 1 rep on a deadlift to then herniate my lower back, like herniate a disc or tear a glute, it's just not fucking worth it. I'd much rather have an operable body than get an extra rep on a deadlift. But that's not to say that I don't take risks. I think you've got to take risks now and again. I think if there's a greater chance of you getting it, and you know that there's maybe a 60-40 chance in favor of you getting it, I'd probably go for that rep. But if it's any less than 50, then you're probably just better off not going for it. And then, like, dealing with the fact that it's happened is, I just always think rationally. I think backwards. So, for example, yesterday on the 220, it was really annoying because the warm-ups felt fantastic. They felt so good. Like 200 kilos came off the fly, nothing. 180 felt like 140, just ridiculous. And I was like, okay, I'm definitely gonna be pulling 7 reps. And I knew, like, after the 2nd rep, I was like, this is speedy, like off the floor, but I'm not gonna be able to lock out 7 because my hips were just not springy as they should be at the top. I think the bar path was a little bit off as well, and it's just like, But that day we'd like gone bowling at like 1 p.m. and then I trained at 3 p.m. It wasn't like me and Danny that went bowling. It was me, Cuba, the Giant, and Magic Eye Media, because it was for Jamie's YouTube channel. So that will probably be out soon. It was a good bit of fun, to be honest. And fucking Jamie Johal was like an absolute monster at bowling. He's like got all the technique down. Like he does the whole thing with his back leg, puts his back leg in like a cross leg position. I'm like, what the fuck? And he just like bowls it super, super fast in like a direct straight line. And he got like 4 or 5 strikes. It's
Wow.
insane. So I was expecting him to not be that good because he was tall, but yeah, he was quality. So I didn't. And then I sort of like thought back and rationalized it, and I was like, okay, well, kind of makes sense why I didn't progress. I had a little bit of a different routine. Actually, ate a different pre-workout meal and ate really close to training as well. So like it wasn't probably the best day for it, in all honesty. But it is what it is. And then I just think, right, what's the next best step? Had the deadlift in since August. Like, what's that? 6 months ish. Yeah, it's about 6 months, isn't it? Fucking hell.
Yeah,
been in this house half a year. It's insane, man. So yeah, I think it's the best thing to like remove it, bring it out, put the RDL in for a bit, because when we're thinking about it going into prep as well, like it makes more sense to do something that's going to be like moving forwards a little bit to give me like a little bit of a positive movement rather than going into prep and like battling a movement. I'd rather not battle a movement straight away. Like it's on its final threads, even in off season. So I'm taking away calories and recovery capacity, and I'm still got a lift that's on its last legs. Not really a good idea. So there's 2 lifts that are got to go. It's the high incline dumbbell and it's the deadlift. Both of those are on their last legs. And I'm not surprised. They've been in for a fucking while. So the high incline, so the deadlift's going to be RDL, and the high incline is going to be, we're getting the proper Nautilus shoulder press. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We're getting the plate loaded one. So that'll come, I think, in like 8-9 days. So yeah.
You're very lucky. You have a fair chunk of different pieces of kit, movements you can do, and that's a real good benefit of being at Ultraflex. They have loads of different shit that you can just play out and bring something in, which is good. But no, with what you said, I agree. Especially when you're going into a prep now, you need to be way smarter with these type of movements. You're not going to hold your deadlift. It's very, very. No, I don't think you'll even hold. Like you said to me once, with about 180, you just expect to drop down. Your deadlift maybe at the end of prep, something like that.
I mean, I don't like to set like an idea in my head, because the thing is, I'm going to lose probably 40 pounds. By the end of the prep, I'm probably going to lose around about 40 pounds. As much as people like to say, I don't think you've got 40 pounds to lose, I probably have. Probably got about 40 pounds to lose. So, maybe not by the qualifier, but by the finals, I think I'll be about 40 pounds down. That's what I'm estimating anyway.
Yeah.
So with that being said, that means that I've got to try up some level of strength. Like, to be 40 pounds lighter and retaining 220 for 6, it's not really going to happen, is it? Like, I know there's people out there that would disagree. I know Keithy's put on his story multiple times that he seemingly doesn't drop any strength during prep, and he said, I think once he said he actually got stronger. I'd love to see what that is on paper. Like, I'd love to see what that actually is, like what his deadlift was at the start of prep and at the end of prep. I'd love to see that. I'd like to see him do it this year, because he's now pulling, 305 for 1. I'd like to see him do that at his stage weight. I would like to see that happen, because as much as I love him, and I think he's more than possible because he's a fucking animal, I don't think that's necessarily something that he should be preaching to everyone, because I don't think many people are going to be able to do that without getting colossal fucking injury. Because let's face it, he's going to be a lighter individual. I think he's probably going to be 30 pounds lighter or something like that on stage shape. And that's, like if a power lifter was to drop 30 pounds from their competition weight and they were the same strength or stronger, then there's something fucking wrong about the competition weight, because their Wilks would be a lot better if they were in bodybuilding stage condition, which is not happening.
Weight moves weight.
Yeah. I mean, all for it. Everyone on powerlifting stage will have shredded glutes next. But yeah, mate. I think I'm equally not. I'm not looking forward to that aspect that much. But I think what you got to do when you train in deficit is just focus on trying to enjoy the battle of strength retention. I think that's what you've got to focus on, is because it does become a battle of strength retention, not a battle of strength progression. And if you focus on that battle and you keep your form all in check, you manipulate rep ranges so that you're not doing much low rep range work. I'm not a big believer of doing like anything really below 6 during prep. It's just way too risky for joints, tendons and ligaments, and it's just not going to give you much bang for your buck either. It's probably going to end up fucking you up more than it is going to build you or grow you. So you're better off just avoiding that kind of rep range. And yeah, as long as you're sensible, you can retain a decent amount of strength. I'm not expecting to drop a huge amount straight away. That's for sure. I think some things will actually get better.
I mean, I found when I was throughout prep, like my higher rep stuff got better.
Yeah. I imagine it will, mate.
As you get fitter, the breeze. I remember when I was training with Nathan during prep, and he was like 50 pounds heavier than me at the time, and I was just ready to go. He was just recovering from his set, and I was like, right, I'm ready to go on his higher rep stuff. It's just unfortunately the heavier, lower rep stuff, as you say, it does batter you, but you still can improve numbers. Like my pendulum, it was I finished prep and it was the higher rep stuff was the best it's ever been in terms of like doing the easy 15 to 20 reppers. I was just breezing through it. Yeah. Now I do struggle a little bit with the higher rep stuff. I'm still pretty fit, I would say. So still implement some sort of cardio, but there are benefits to getting leaner towards your endurance in other movements and things like that. I'd see that coming.
100%.
But no, generally I like you said, enjoy the process a little bit more, and just accept that is going to happen for most people. You aren't going to maintain your numbers or hold your numbers. Unfortunately, it is going to go backwards, but always just kind of think about, right, if I can not go back to where I was beforehand, like if I can always just be that little bit stronger, I think that's a win for sure. Yeah. It's just so annoying because you work so fucking hard in the off season to gain an extra rep on the deadlift or an extra rep on your squat or whatever it may be, and sometimes it just fucks off like that, and you think, I put work in my off season to get really, really strong for when I do diet down for it to just go. That's the annoying side of it. But there's not much you can do about it, in my honest opinion. There really isn't.
Agreed.
I was going to ask you about, obviously you're starting prep on Saturday. This Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, this Saturday. Yeah.
So where are we starting off with things in terms of nutrition, CV, training? Is that all going to remain the same, or what's going on with that?
Sure. So first of all, training, very simple. It's going to stay the same for now. I think the split just works well. So for anyone interested, it's push, pull, off, legs off, repeat. So 1 week works out to be 4 training days, and then the next week's 5, and the next week's 4, next week's 5. You get the picture. So
just quickly say something on that. How do you feel in terms of, because we spoke about this on like a check-in or a chat once. Yeah. How do you feel about, obviously what I was doing on prep was like 3 days on, 1 day off, and now you mentioned with your clients you don't actually get them to train more than 2 days before taking the rest. How do you feel towards that in a contest prep? Because of course, it does your head in taking loads of rest days. Like when I used to take a rest day, I was my head was just going mad. But now, obviously, you'll be taking more rest days, especially at the beginning. Yeah. Will you make any changes? How do you feel towards that?
I mean, I think I've just got to head into it with the mindset that it's a positive thing. I get more time to, like, you know, focus on my check-ins, do my work, do any setups. I'm lucky that, you know, I'm relatively busy with the coaching side of things, with the membership site. So I've got plenty to be doing.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm going to be sitting at home doing nothing on rest days. I think I've just got to appreciate the rest. And I already know that it's going to make a good difference. I think, like, fullness will be better. I won't be so sort of flat all the time and stringy from basically just having like constant depletion of glycogen through training. I think overall stress will be lower as a result of just not beating my body up so much. When I start to get like more positive feedback from looking at my Oura ring, and like if my Oura ring starts telling me, okay, you're ready, like your readiness is always good, I think it will start telling me that about 3-4 weeks into prep when my sleep improves. Because right now, because of the calories being so high and my body weight being so high, my sleep isn't brilliant. It's not awful, don't get me wrong, but it's not as good as it can be, because I know that I'm not getting decent REM and decent deep sleep because of just being heavier and because of eating too late and too close to bed, because I'm otherwise not going to fit my calories in without being a bloated mess, because I have to eat too close together. So yeah, eating less food. And Danny even noticed it. Like, she wasn't in a colossal amount of food, but she dropped her calories and her sleep massively improved, just from having like less digestive processes. So I think once I get a little bit more recovery, I might go up a little bit in frequency. The only thing I'll be changing would be going like 5 days a week every week. I wouldn't be going any higher than 5 days. I think gone for me are the days of being able to train 6 days a week. I just don't think I'll be able to do it anymore, unless I trained like a pussy, basically. So I've got two options: train how I want to train 5 days or 4 days a week, or train like a melt and train 6 days a week. So, you know, like two choices really. And yeah, I think I've just like learned a lot of lessons on frequency. I think you probably would have looked better if you weren't training so frequently, to be honest. I think you could have trained a lot less, or a little bit less, should I say. Probably retained a little bit more strength, retained a bit more fullness, kind of thing. So I think there's definitely merit to it. I'll obviously, like, you know, and at the end of the day, this isn't going to be my last bodybuilding prep. I'm going to do several others. So if this isn't the right approach for me, I'll learn. You know, if I don't look as good as I thought I was going to look on this approach, I'll just change it next time. But the reality is, I'm training harder than ever. I'm still training a decent amount of time. It's not like I've dropped my frequency in half. I've taken away like one session once a week, because most of my, well, not in my last prep, but most of my off season I've been training 5 days a week. In my last prep, I was training 6 days a week for the majority of it, and that was 6 days in a row. And that was just, I just don't know how I did it, to be honest. I mean, obviously it worked a little bit because I ended up looking all right, but I almost questioned myself, how much better am I going to look this time by being smarter, and, you know, not training like with just crazy frequency, and obviously dropping a load of strength as a result of training with too high frequency. So yeah, and I'm looking forward to it in general. I mean, I know that the rest days will suck because I don't like not going to the gym. I do really like training, so I'd be lying if I said I'm not tempted to go up to 5 days a week every week. So that would be like a 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off approach. Which I think at some point I'm going to be able to get away with that, especially as I get a little bit weaker and the overall sort of like systemic fatigue, full body fatigue is a little bit less. I think I'll be able to get away with that. I think that would be a smart idea. But for now, I've just got to stick with what I've got because it's working. Calories wise, so bear in mind I'm maintaining at the moment. So I'm simply just going to drop 500 calories. I'm going to drop into what would be a 500 calorie deficit. I think that would be perfect in terms of just creating the rate of loss that I need. If it's not, I'll create more of a deficit. My steps every day at the moment on my Oura ring, anywhere between 7.5 and 12,000. So it just depends how much I walk Barney, really. If I go for a little bit of a longer walk with him, it'll be close to 10, 12,000. If I don't walk him so much, it'll be like 7.5, because it's just the steps I do in the gym and then my pre-workout walk. But I'm just going to make sure I hit 10,000 every day. And if I go a bit above that, fine, but I'm not going to go above 12,500. If I start going above 12,500, I've taken an adjustment, because anything above 2,000 above my goal, I see as like something I could have changed later on.
Yeah.
So I could have gone from 10 to 15 and then kept it at 15. I won't be going above 15,000 steps. Mark my words on this podcast. If I say to you, George, made a change this week, I'm going up 20,000 steps, I best have a fucking good reason for it, because I shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit too much. I think my legs will suffer in terms of fullness for that.
Power walks like you used to do before. Your morning power walk and then your evening power
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a possibility that could happen, because the reality is it's a relatively low impact form of cardio that at some point, if I need to get my heart rate up, I could do that. But that would be counting towards my steps, but also be a higher intensity form of doing my steps. But at the start, there's no fucking way in hell that I'm doing that. I'll be doing my steps at a normal pace, very leisurely, taking Barney out for walks, things like that. Just chilled step sitting. So I don't need to do anything different. I don't need to do fast pace yet. So yeah, calories wise, about 500 calorie drops on training days and non-training days. So calories wise, roughly that will bring my training days just inside of 3,000 calories. So it'll probably be the high end of 3,000 calories, like 3.7-ish, 3.8-ish. Because I'm like 4.2, 4.3 at the moment on a training day. It can range. It can go, like on a leg day, I might eat up to 4.5. On a day where I've done a bit more steps, I might eat up to 4.5. On a day where I've done less steps and I've just trained push, I might be at 4.2. And this is something that I definitely think, I don't think I need to do it straight away. I'll let you know if I do, but I don't think I need to do it straight away. But later in the prep, I'm definitely going to have separate macros for the days where I do like a big hip hinge on pull and leg days. I'm definitely going to have different macros, because for sure I burn more calories on those days. If I deadlift or RDL, I spend an hour doing that. If I squat, I spend an hour doing that. So I probably need a little bit more calories on those days. So I'll probably have separate macros for those days, but probably not at the start. There's no real reason to do that straight away. Just create a linear deficit. And then cardio will be 35 minutes. And that will just be on the day that doesn't fall before leg day. So on the split, it'll be push, pull, off, legs, off. On that second off day, the day after legs, I'll do the cardio then every day on that day. So it'll end up being every push, pull, off, legs, off, every 5 days, 35 minutes of cardio. The reason why I'm not doing it anything else or anymore is just because, well, one, I won't need it. And two, I don't want to interrupt leg performance for as long as I can. So as long as I can just keep that 35 minutes cardio on that day, I'll just keep it there. And it will serve the same purpose as like what it's doing when I do it at the moment. However, I haven't been really doing it that often at the moment, because I just want the rest on the rest days, really, mate. I just don't really want to go to the gym. And that sounds a bit weird, but I want to just remove myself from the gym for the rest days and like just focus on doing work and things like that, rather than going back into the gym environment. And that would mean that I'm there like as much as I love training, I don't really love going to the gym just to do cardio. And in future, when my cardio goes up, I'll probably sign up to the Anytime Fitness, which is like just down the road. And I'll go do it there, because I want to have that environment, Ultraflex, just for my weight training. Just to focus on, when I'm there, I'm training with weights, like bottom line.
Exactly what I did. I did mine at Pure Gym, and then
Yeah, exactly the same thing, isn't it?
in cardio, will you be doing the Stairmaster?
No, I'll do the cross trainer at the start, I think. A lot of people think, obviously, I've said it before, Stairmaster's good, but I think keeping off that for the time being is a smart plan, because it's a tool. You know, it's an intense form of cardio. It's a high impact form of cardio. It's going to use your legs. Yes, that could be beneficial in some ways, because it could, you know, create some stimulatory effect in the legs, but it's probably going to lose you muscle off your legs if you do it too often. This is something, again, that I think just I've learned. I think it interrupts training performance on your legs a little bit too much. I think at some point I will have to use it, because I'm going to have to like get moving a little bit faster and get my heart rate up. And I won't be able to do that on the cross trainer. There's no way I'll be able to get my heart rate up to 140 to 140 to 160 on a cross trainer. I'll be too fit within probably a month. And then I'll just go on like level 7 on the Stairmaster and see if I can just maintain a steady 140 to 160. And as long as it doesn't go above 160, then I'm good. But as soon as it goes above 160, then I'm working more anaerobically than I am aerobically, and I'm just absolutely shitting all over my recovery. So it's just not worth it. And this is something, again, that I've just nailed into my clients this year, that, you know, cardio is not a competition. Let's not try and go faster on the Stairmaster. You know, it's like, these are all things that we learned through your prep, mate. And I think, you know, a lot of people will say, oh, well, you know, you should have learned this before, George. I'm like, well, the thing is that, you know, you don't meet many people as crazy as you, mate. You know, you don't meet many people that want to force themselves to fucking run up a Stairmaster. So you learn these lessons through, you know, meeting people that have got crazy mentalities. Because before that, I wasn't used to telling people, you know, hold up, slow down. Didn't used to have to tell people that. People just did their cardio at a steady pace.
No, I came about right.
Not you. So yeah, does that pretty much explain everything for the start point?
Yeah, I think it does. I think that makes it clear. I understand. I think most people understand if I can understand. If they don't, fucking Christ.
Yeah.
But no,
rate of loss wise, I'd like to lose the 1% end for a good month. So I'll be taking off like 1.9 pounds a week on average for the first chunk. Obviously, the first week I would sort of ignore, because it's just going to be like just fluid moving around and reductions in carbohydrates and things like that. So I will make it. I was thinking I could just remove just like all fats at the start, but I think I am going to make a small carbohydrate reduction, because I think there is something to be said of the like the visual look that you will get from like removing a little bit of carbohydrates. I think I need that little bit of like fluid drop, as well as like as well as removing calories. Obviously, I think I need a little bit of that first initial sort of fluid drop from carbohydrates. Obviously, if I make too much of an adjustment, I'll bump them back up a little bit, but I think they will be able to stay pretty high the whole prep. I don't know. You know, I could end up having to get really low. To be honest, I don't really care. To be honest, it's all the same thing. Whether I'm on 200 grams of carbs, 300 grams of carbs, at the back end of prep, I'm going to feel like shit anyway. So it doesn't really matter what food I'm on. It's just, it is what it is. But I'm going to obviously try and hold on to as much food as I can.
That's what I was like. People ask me, how was I dieting on, you know, 2,400 calories, whatever. It doesn't. Either way, if I was on 1,700, I'd still feel the exact same every single day. Still feel like utter shit.
Yeah.
Even though when I was on my days where, you know, I was having refeeds, yeah, I did feel a little bit better, but I still felt shit. You know, even on reverse calories, still felt shit. You know, you're never gonna be content or never feel happy, because you're just so low. When you're dug out deep and lean, you're not going to feel good until you start gaining body weight again, unfortunately. So either way, you just got to suck it up and get on with it.
Yeah, still be food focused, still be everything. It's just like
kilo water.
Still be met, you know. Cool. Have you got any other questions for me, or should we? I've done like a question box today, and I haven't answered any of them, so we could maybe just take some of these.
I mean, I've got a few questions, but my question box. Yeah, we can take a few. I need to get it up.
A lot of coronavirus questions.
Yeah, about bloody what will you do? You did the gym? I don't know.
The thing is, like, as much as like we're very educated, me and George and fitness professionals are probably not the best people to ask about the coronavirus. I don't know shit about the coronavirus. I need to turn the light on here. It's got dark all of a sudden, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Luckily, I
Ah,
don't the right ear.
haze. Ah, wow. Okay.
Christ. Um,
Oh.
I'm going to ask one about the coronavirus. If coronavirus causes lockdown like Italy and can't go to gym, what are you going to do? So what are you going to
Yeah.
do?
Sit home wank all day.
Hey, hey,
Get the fucking sock out.
hey. Need new sock, to be fair.
No,
Birthday next month, so anyone wants to buy me a sock, you're more than welcome.
I don't know, mate. I think if gym's shut here, I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, I think I'd call it a day on prep. I mean, mate, let's say for a month. So what's happening in Italy at the moment is that they're quarantined a lot of things for a whole month.
Mm.
If I cannot train for a whole month, I guarantee you I will look dog shit by the end of that month. I will look absolutely atrocious. I don't care what Davina McCall home workout I do. I will not look fucking good. I think the best bet is if you get quarantined, clear your fucking garage out, order some home gym equipment, work out in your garage. Simple.
Yeah,
And that's all you can do. So spend the best part of 10 grand and it'll be good for a month.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. Unfortunately, I think if I stop training, even if I stop training for like 3 or 4 days, start looking like fucking shit. I just look soft. I'm like 3 days, and I look absolutely. Especially when you deload 4 days. First couple of days, all right. Third day, you look at yourself in the mirror, you stand there naked. You know when you stand there naked, you look at yourself, you think, "Fuck it." You look at yourself, you think, "What's going on here?" Red,
like a sack of absolute shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else was I going to say on that topic? I think the thing is, like, I don't know. I think it's obviously the whole thing is quite worrying in a way, but I think there's something probably bigger going on in the background that perhaps politically people are trying to hide or cover up or not let be exposed by what's going on. Because if you read the news now, notice how every fucking article is coronavirus. Like, everyone's obsessed with it. Nothing else going on. Whereas, if there was something else going on in the world, like, it would get attention. So I genuinely think, like, obviously it's real, but there's other shit going on probably that they're trying to like hide or cover up. There's quite a few conspiracy stories. I don't know if you've heard any of them, but there's 5G conspiracies that 5G has caused it. There's all of these fucking books. Josh Bridgman put on his story that someone predicted this. Apparently the Simpsons predicted it. It's just like, it's weird shit. It makes you think, how safe are we really? Like, is this some sort of like, I don't know. It's just weird, really weird. But to be honest, like, it makes sense that it would be something that would be like developed in a lab and like used as a weapon of war. Because if you created a virus that spread and just killed people, like, that's a pretty crazy weapon, isn't it?
Game in school that actually spread a virus across the whole world. Literally the exact same like coronavirus. You start off in a country and you try and infect the whole world with this virus.
Wow.
In different ways. This weird game I used to play when I was back in school. I can't remember what it's called now.
What's it called? Wuhan 400.
Fuck knows what it was called, but honestly,
I don't know.
Weird. And it's even someone posted like a picture of their Dettol spray they had in the garage or something like that. It's been left there for a year. Even on the back of the tag bit like here, it actually said like coronavirus on it or something like that.
Wow.
Fucking mad. And they said that Dettol spray's been in the garage for about a year, which is fucking... Are you scared at all from it?
A little bit, especially considering like the last couple of days I've had a cough. So I mean, the thing is, there's a lot going around at the moment anyway. Like, I think the thing that makes me less worried is that so many people have been sick. So I also think the statistics are pretty in favor of us being totally fine because we're like pretty fit and well. And we know everything we can do to maximize our immune systems.
Yeah.
So the percentage rate of like us like looking to get into trouble is minuscule at the moment. I mean, it could get worse, but they say there's might be like different strains of it. But to be honest, mate, it is a bit of a nightmare in reality. Like, I'd like to not wake up and see another coronavirus story. I'd like to be able to sign into YouTube and not see breaking news of someone else dying. Like, it's pretty horrible, to be honest. Imagine everyone that was like, I know it sounds brutal, but imagine getting daily updates of everyone that was passing away from cancer. Like, that's what we're experiencing in the moment with coronavirus. It's like constant updates of like ill health and sadness and upset and, you know, people dying. It's horrendous news. It's horrible. I hate the news for the best part, but at the moment I hate the news app on my phone. I hate when it slides up with another bloody update. It's just, I don't like this kind of negativity. So yeah, that it doesn't necessarily scare me. It just upsets me a bit. That the world's coming to this sort of situation. But yeah, let's move on to a more positive note and ask some Formula One questions. So, after watching F1 on Netflix, have you watched The Drive to Survive season 2?
No, I haven't.
No, what the hell have you been doing, man?
I don't sit and watch Netflix anymore. I've got.
But they're only like 35-minute episodes. You can watch it whilst you're eating a meal.
Yeah, I know, but I've been watching Dragon's Den, mate.
But no, it's so good. It's so good. You need to watch it, man.
I'll watch it.
So, but anyway, like, which driver are you rooting for the most this year in terms of like, you know, who do you want to see do well? Who do you want to see like be up and coming?
To be fair, mate, I've always been, not gonna lie, I've always been a Lewis fan. And I think he's joint, or is he joint with Schumacher? Or is he one behind him at the moment? I think he might
One behind. If he does it this year, he'll be joint.
I favour him because obviously I know that he's got an advantage this year. I think is it power steering or something like that, something to do with steering.
Got DAS, yeah, he's got DAS, which is like the system where the wheel comes back and forth and it changes the alignment of the front wheels, the front tires. Yeah,
and I know that's banned from
next year. Yeah, so they might ban it during this year though.
I think he'll be very dominant this year again, like he was last year. And I mean, last year I actually fell out of love with it even more because it was just same old stuff. Oh, Lewis. There wasn't much competition, but I'm determined to get back into it this year. So I'm rooting for Lewis because I do want him to beat Schumacher's record, just because, you know, he's brought up round the corner from me in Stevenage, which is about 20 minutes from my house. So yeah. He's like a local boy, if you want to call it that, and yeah, I think he'll bring it home this year. You?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that I think Lewis will win, but in terms of people that I want to see do well, I'd like to see Ricciardo like be back up there with Renault, but I don't think it's realistic. I'd like to see Lando doing well because I like Lando a lot. I'd like to see Alex Albon get a podium because he got punted off by Lewis at Brazil, and he was like due to get third on that, and like got taken away from him. And he's a guy that I followed like loads during karting when I was racing. He was like top of cadets when I started pretty much getting into competitive karting. So and it seems like a nice lad as well. And the Drive to Survive like season shows you a little bit more of like behind the scenes with them. Like what's gone on with Alex's family in the past is crazy. Like he's had a really rough time with things. So I'd like to see him do well. And of course, I'd like to see George Russell do well. I'd like to see all the UK lads do well. But George is actually probably one of the most talented drivers on the grid. He's just in absolutely atrocious fucking car. Yeah. And I think he will be again this year, to be honest. The Williams will probably be again another shoddy car, which is a shame. But yeah, I think, and that answers another one of the questions. I think someone asked, I got like 3-4 questions about bloody F1 on here. Someone asked whether Mercedes will be dominant again. I think, yeah, they will. Highly doubt there's going to be anyone faster than them.
I think what I think they should do is put everyone in the same car, as hard as that is. And for me, that is like you'll get to see who's the best driver, because some of it is quite unfair, I think, from what I've seen. I mean, I don't follow it as much as what you do anymore, but from what I've seen, it's so unfair. Some of it.
Well, the thing is, this is what they're doing in like not next year, but next year will come with the budget caps.
Yeah.
So there'll be less with the bigger teams spending more money than anyone else. So that will be better. And then in 2023, there's huge changes to the regulation of the cars. So they're going to be able to follow a lot closer and be more competitive with each other. So by 2023, we should actually see a race which will include more than one overtake. So, yeah. Back onto bodybuilding. So, okay. I should have probably said that a little bit later. I actually didn't have a question ready. How do you train someone to be a good spotter?
I always tell beforehand. I always tell the spotter, look, do not touch me unless I say. And sometimes they do that. Sometimes they completely just ignore what I've just said, and just when I am struggling, but I just know I'm going to get it, they just all of a sudden, and I'm just like, I had a guy the other day. I was doing a flat bar with bench press, and I was just about to get a 6th rep on. I was just going to be a better 1 rep more than what I did last time, and he just grabbed the bar and told me go again. I just went again, and I go again. I just wrapped it. I was like, "Nah, this is taking the piss." That 6th one was going to be just me. I'd have been happy, just about got it, which is good. Then he didn't count it. I just put 5.5. Fucking annoying. It would have been 6. I'd have, when you struggle there for like 5 seconds getting up, I'd have happily done that. Really struggled. Got it, but he just took it off me. And I was like, I told him before, don't do that, and he did it.
Yeah, it's just like, let me struggle for a bit, you fucking cunt.
Or you could, for example, I'll even say this. I was getting spotted by Wes the other day, and he's right over my face, and he actually spat in my eye, and it actually made me. And basically, I went like this. It made me my eye twitch because it actually went directly in my eye whilst barbell bench pressing. Spat right in my face, right in my eye.
That's the worst spot you can say.
I had my one eye whilst bench pressing. Coordination was all over the place.
Like,
Yeah, literally. I was like, I didn't say anything afterwards, but
excuse me, mate. He spat
in my eye. And it was there as well. It weren't like I could actually see like the drizzle coming out onto my face. It was like a sprayed right all on my face. I was thinking, and this was what midway through my set. I was thinking, he just spat in my face, and I'm thinking, I need to continue. And just threw me right off.
At least it didn't like drop into your mouth. And you're
like that intra-set fluid.
He dropped a bit of his intra-workout into your mouth. So, fucking
not that.
Okay, I got another good question. So this is opinion on Clen for losing fat. Is it considered as juice? It's like why do people ask these fucking questions?
Stupid.
Is it considered juice?
Someone asked you the other week about bloody taking Clen as a natural athlete, and you was like, no.
Someone asked Joe that, didn't they?
Yeah, something like that.
He wouldn't be natural anymore. I think my opinion on clenbuterol for losing fat is that if you want to use it and you're assisted, fair play. But if you want to use it and compete naturally, you've got some issues.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't know, your him bite or something.
Yeah, just use your him bean. I mean, it's practically the same thing, isn't it?
I've not really got any more other ones, just stupid ones, which I get now, which I'm kind of enjoying, but pissed at the same time. I don't know how long we've been going for.
I think an hour, pretty much.
Jesus bloody Christ.
Someone said, "What's happened to the podcast with George? It's here. It's back. Don't know what you're talking about. It was never gone. We're perfectly consistent.
We will be consistent.
Yeah, we will be. Yeah." Someone asked about like their lower back feeling really shot after RDLs. Should they suck it up, or is their form bad?
I've always said if you are finishing a set and your lower back or like you're deadlifting or RDL and your lower back is absolutely fried, I think something's wrong, in my opinion. I've always said that. So it could be your technique, it could be just little things like, you know, I got my lower back released the other week, and since then I've had no issues at all with it. Little things like that. Could be posture, could be imbalances, weak glute, it could be whatever, but something's wrong, I think.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I think we'll leave the podcast here.
Been a good one.
Next week we'll be back, and I will have lost several lbs.
You'll be leaving the face, and I'll be fucking blowing out like I am right now. Hopefully, I might have a blonder beard next time, but who knows?
Are you growing the natural stuff out now?
Yeah. Does it look more blonde?
It does look a bit more blonde. It's hard to tell in the light, though.
Yeah. There you go. That's blonde.
Yeah, it is. It's good news.
Coming through. Being Natty George now.
Yeah. You got the hair, the top knot gone as well. I think it looks a lot better, to be honest.
Yeah. Although
are you gonna go any shorter than that? Are you gonna keep it sort of that length?
I'm going short. I'm gonna go quite skinhead soon.
Are you?
Yeah, keep the beard and go skinhead.
Are you actually? Is that serious?
Swear down, yeah. Swear down, because my hairline's getting worse. I don't do anything other than wear hats. And I know I'm going to lose my hair, so I'm that type of person that I don't see why people walk around and they've got like a bald patch that are holding onto the hair when they're just going to lose it. Just shave it off.
Yeah. No, I mean, you could get a hair transplant. That's probably not worth it. No.
In my opinion, not really worth it. So.
Not at your age.
Nah. I might just look like
probably
shave my hair off completely.
To be honest, I think it would look good.
Yeah,
I think it'll take some good period of time to get used to. I think you might look like a bit of an egg at first, but then I think then it will take shape. I mean, Cuba, like I think he kept a little bit of the hair on the top for a while, and I think he definitely looks better with it just clean shaved.
The best one, he used to just have a tash.
That's fucking immense. He needs to bring that back.
Better with a beard now.
Yeah. I mean, off season it does look better with the beard, but I think on stage he would stand out with the tash.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you look like a bit of a pedo, but you'd also look fucking sick at the same time.
Yeah, I agree.
All right then.
Yep, I'm gonna eat because I'm hungry.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.